When you're talking about Kyrie Irving, listen, Greeny, if you take Kyrie Irving's brain and put it in a bird right now, guess what that bird is going to do? It's going to fly backwards. Because Kyrie right now, he's confused. He's showing his lack of leadership. Here it is. Kyrie, you have been on these conference calls over the last 2 months. You're the vice president of the Players Association. You have been very involved in all this that has been taking place for us, whether or not we're going to play or not. And you have been on the phone and you have voted to play. And also, we go back last week. Just last week, he was reaching out to the Players Association and the NBA about, players that are on the inactive list. Can they travel to Orlando? That he said he wanted to go to Orlando and be part of the team and be with his team and be a leader. And all of a sudden, within the next 7 days, because from what I was told, the NBA said, no, you can't go because of the pandemic and coronavirus situation, that the bodies that are there are bodies that, that need to be people in place to, take part in action. And so, in my opinion, when you look at Kyrie, I'm okay with you changing your mind and having a different way of thinking and saying, you know what, we need to make a stance, and sit out. But what is the plan after that? He didn't have one. So once again, that showed his lack of leadership, Greeny. And guess what's been going on for the last 2 days in our world? 2 people have been lynched in the state of Texas. A young African-American young lady was killed in Akron, Ohio, behind a hate crime. And have that been highlighted like it should have been? No, because for the last 2 days, we have been talking about Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie Irving, right now, you are the distraction. You are the distractor. You distracting the whole situation. So it's crazy to me because, you come out and you do something separately without talking to your president, Chris Paul, or consulting with Michelle Roberts, and go off and do something totally different and get a group of guys together and say, let's sit out without a plan. It makes 0 sense, and I totally disagree with Kyrie Irving.
Kendrick, one of the things that I thought was striking when Michelle Roberts was talking the other day, again, she's the head of the Players Association, she very specifically said, our players are talking about this. They're not fighting over it. Are you concerned right now, Kendrick, that the players are being divided by this issue?
Yes, I am, Greeny, because, listen, and one point only, for the players that decide to go, you have a small group of people behind Kyrie Irving. And God bless their heart, like those old people used to say. But the players who decide to go to Disney, a lot of those players are going to be frowned upon, especially in the African-American community, because they're not educated, and they're going to say, oh, y'all shouldn't have played. Y'all should have made a stance. Stance for what? And stayed home? Who are you hurting? You're not hurting the owners. You're hurting you're hurting the athletes, the African Americans, 80% of the players that make up the NBA that could get extra money to provide back into the African American community. So yes, I do think it divides the player union that, by the way, has been strong as I ever seen it in my 17 years of being around the NBA.
Malika, from the people you talk to, what sense are you getting about any disharmony that might be being created by this circumstance among the players?
I've heard pretty strongly from several players that there is the same end goal. There is just discussion surrounding what is the best way to get there. And I think that's part of what Avery was addressing with Adrian and I, is that, like I said, he doesn't, and he speaks on behalf of the coalition that actually does include Kyrie, they don't believe that players are wrong in wanting to go and use their platforms, but they are trying to come up with a better, more clear plan for what exactly that is going to entail, because Avery said that they haven't yet heard from the league any sort of specific plan of how they will make sure racial injustice stays front and center within the bubble situation. Now, that doesn't mean, and he said this, he said that doesn't mean it's not happening. We just haven't heard of those conversations yet. So it really seems like the majority of players, I would say likely including Kyrie, are looking forward to hearing those plans from the league.